I have been a South Park fan from the beginning of the series. I remember when it started up. As a matter of fact, I was actually in the army at the time, and I had training at night. During this time, I was out of basic training, so I had night classes, and it was really just a small number of us in my barracks that actually had night classes. So during the day, we would kind of hang out. We almost felt like housewives in our platoon or something. I mean, we basically just watched daytime television and stuff or whatever, and then our hours were just kind of funny or whatever. But I remember that two of the shows that we would watch a lot were Jerry Springer, because Jerry Springer was huge during that time, and then also when South Park started up, we were really into it, and we were really shocked by it as well. We were like, they got away with a lot. Even for cable, they got away with a lot, and they still get away with a lot. But yeah, I've been a long time fan of the series, like I said, all the way back to the beginning. Along the way, here and there, I've picked up some South Park memorabilia, but not a lot, because a lot of it just doesn't really appeal to me. So I pretty much just watch the episodes, and the series has had its ups and downs, but I've always stuck with it. I've seen every episode, and there are some episodes that I've seen an embarrassing number of times just because I love them so much. So of course, when I got the word, and a big shout out to Collecting Plastic for being the first person to let me know that Funko was going to make South Park figures, I got excited, and then I immediately got worried, because I know that certain characters don't always translate well to Funko Pops. And then I also, immediately thought about Funko's track record with cartoon characters. So we know that they did the Family Guy figures, and they did some Simpsons figures. They were not exactly successful in either case. The Family Guy figures look really awkward. The only one that's passable is, to me, I think, Brian's kind of okay. I don't think I would buy him though. And then Ray Gun Stewie's probably the best, but the only reason he gets away with it, obviously, is because he has a helmet on, so you can't see how awkward the head actually looks. And then with the Simpsons, I don't like any of them personally. I just don't think they're very true to the characters. So yeah, and actually I've seen more Family Guy back on shelves recently, especially in Walmarts, and I'm just like, why? Who's demanding these? Because they just weren't successful in their design. With the Futurama Funko Pops, again, I don't think they really knocked it out of the park there. I think Bender is okay, especially the Gold Bender. That one's pretty cool. And if I ever happen to come across that one at a decent price, I'd probably pick that one up. I'm definitely a big fan of Bender. And then the second series of figures, the four on the right hand side of the screen there, I think they did a better job than they maybe did with the originals. Although I will say also the Robot Devil looks okay, but then again, the Robot Devil, they didn't stick so much to the Funko design. They were, it was able to do, I guess would say, a more accurate representation of the character, because they didn't give him that typical head shape, which would have really looked awkward with him. So yeah, I'll say that with Futurama, I think the figures did get better, but still didn't exactly knock it out of the park there. And then more recently, they did the Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain. This is another one of those announcements. When I first heard it, I was like, wow, that should be good. And then I was like, well, maybe I better wait and see. And I don't know. At first, I really did not like the designs when I saw them. They've grown on me a little bit, but not to the point where I feel like I want to own them. And then there are some weird things about the designs as well. Like they have ridges on their hands and stuff, like really hard looking ridges that just really stand out to me, and just don't look so well put together. So I kind of have mixed feelings on these, but I mean, you get my point here. When it comes to translating cartoon characters, 2D characters to 3D models, Funko Pops, they are definitely not always successful. So I got the email it actually came from Pop in a Box. That Pop in a Box is the first time I saw the image of what the South Park figures would look like. So, I saw the title of the email. I was like, okay, moment of truth. Here it goes. Let's see what they look like. And I was not happy. I don't know about the rest of you, but when I saw what these figures look like, I was just not happy, because I know that I've seen much better representations of these characters. And I don't doubt, I'm not trying to sway what anybody buys. How you spend your money is up to you. But I will just say this, be smart about your money. And if you really are a South Park fan, just look at some other options as well. I'm going to say that, but I'm not going to knock anybody for buying the Funko Pop figures. In fact, let's go ahead and take a closer look at what they're offering for starters, because obviously there are going to be more. I got to say their initial lineup is a little awkward to me. Of course, they're going to do Cartman, but this version of Cartman is just, I don't know, it seems a little weird to go with that version for me. In fact, I'll talk in a minute about another version I think they probably should have started with. I do like that they have Ike Broflovski, and Ike has such a simple design that I think he's actually one of the better looking ones that they have. Mysterion looks just a little bit off to me. At a glance, I don't even think, if it wasn't for that huge question mark on the head, I don't even think I would register that as being Mysterion. So yeah, that one doesn't really do it for me. Zombie Kenny is okay, but I mean, the character looks a mess anyway. So, I mean, that kind of makes sense. And then it is a Hot Topic exclusive. I will go to make note of that for you. And by the way, this isn't necessarily a Funko News video, but this is some news I just couldn't wait on. I had to go and talk about these figures. The one that bugs me the most is Butters, because Butters at times has been my favorite character. I wouldn't say he's my favorite character right now. It used to be Stan. Cartman, I always like Cartman. Cartman has never been my number one character, though. I like Stan because Stan is just the heart of the show. He's that center character, that central character. And then over time, his father, Randy, actually became my favorite character and pretty much still is. But for a while, I really liked Butters, and Butters has some amazing episodes. I like when Butters became a pimp. That was a hilarious episode, and a lot of episodes that Butters had with Cartman have been very funny. But this design of Butters, I so don't like it. It does not look good to me. That doesn't even really register as Butters to me. And yeah, like I said, I'm really interested to hear your opinions, once we get to the end of this video. But that Butters really does bug me because I really do like the character. So I do want to point out to you that there are other options. Again, how you spend your money is up to you. But I will say that Kid Robot has the South Park license, and they have done a good job with it, I feel, over the years. I don't know how long they've had the license, but they've definitely had different series. So going a ways back, I don't even know when this started, because these actually came out before I started really getting into collectibles. But I know that they had some random figures, just different characters from throughout the series up there at the top. And there are some other figures mixed in as well, which I will address in a moment. And then they did the Stick of Truth figures as well, from the video game series. And they also had these designs in some episodes as well. Okay, so you see those at the bottom. And they do have larger sizes of those figures as well. So just taking a glance at those right away, you see how true these are to the character. Much more so than those Funko Pops. Also from Kid Robot, this is a figure that I really love because I actually do have this in my collection. And this is a larger size figure. I would say it's probably maybe 6 or 7 inches tall. This Awesome-O figure. They do have a smaller version of it as well, the blind box version. And I think there's one that's even larger than the one I have. So they have it in different sizes. And also, Awesome-O is one of my favorite episodes. I would probably put it in like my top 5 South Park episodes. I've watched it so many times and I love it every time. So again, another awesome figure by Kid Robot. Okay, and then they had the different faces of Cartman, these different versions of Cartman. And you notice here that they actually had that same design that Funko decided to go with. And I still don't get why they chose that particular design, because they could have gone with some much cooler looking versions of Cartman. As a matter of fact, if you look there in the main pic with all the different versions of Cartman on the main the case there, I think it would have been cool to do the Cowboy Cartman with Clyde Frog as their first one. I don't know how you all feel about that, but I think that would have been cool. Or just straight up Cartman, just the way that he normally looks on the series. But the one they chose to go with, again, I don't really understand their reasoning. I think it's a very awkward choice and not the best representation of the character. And then also, I mean, if you know the series, then you get the joke. He's holding that sign that says, "I'm a little piggy" there. But I know in this very PC world that we're living in right now, in this very PC America, some people may not even like to see that figure on shelves and may take offense to it. You know, some people, the joke may go over some people's head, or they may get the joke and still not like it. So again, I think it's just an odd choice to start off with for Cartman. And most recently, they have done the Fractured Butthole. That's from the upcoming video game, which I'm really looking forward to. And I'm so glad that it's actually going to include the Stick of Truth, because I missed out on that game. My PS3 actually finally gave out on me after having it for years. It gave out on me right before the Stick of Truth came out, so I never got to play it. So I'm really glad that I'm going to get to play both of those games. Really looking forward to that. But again, I think they did a great job with these figures. And again, you look at the characters right away, you know who you're looking at. Now, I do want to point something out before I move on. I do realize Kid Robot's prices may seem a little steeper than Funko's prices. But again, you got to kind of think about quality sometimes being more important. And if you're curious about the size of these figures, if you've never seen them before, I'll just say this. The average Funko Pop size is 4 inches, whereas these blind box figures by Kid Robot, I believe they are 3 inches tall. And also, you can, of course, go to, second market and buy these figures, just get the characters you want, but of course, you're going to pay more. So it probably is better just to go ahead with the blind boxes. And I would just say look around and compare prices. I would definitely not pick these up inside of Hot Topic. Now, Hot Topic's website, they do sometimes have Kid Robot blind boxes marked down at good prices. But I think in-store prices are ridiculous. So, yeah, just kind of compare prices if you are interested in any of these. And then again, like they've done with some of their other figures, like they did with Awesemo, they do have larger versions of the figures as well. So these figures here, Mysterion, who is, okay, if you don't know the series, that's basically Kenny's hero alter ego. And then Professor Chaos, which is Butter's like supervillain character, they actually do have these 7-inch versions of them as well. As a matter of fact, I can't remember which company it was for sure. It might have been Nerd Block. I know they did a box that was all about South Park, and it was kind of a pricey box, but it did come with a Professor Chaos 7-inch figure that's glow in the dark. So that was pretty cool to me. And hope I'm not spoiling that for anybody, but I mean, there's a lot of videos out there now with that unboxing. So if you're really into collectibles, you've probably seen it by now anyway. So again, like I said, I feel like Kid Robot has done a lot that's really true to the characters. And Funko, I'm just not feeling it. I'm really not feeling these designs. I don't see myself purchasing these. Maybe if they do another wave and the figures are more on point and more true to the characters, then I might pick them up. But this initial wave, I just don't see myself getting them. But of course, as always, I want to hear from you all. What do you think of these figures? Do you like the designs? Are you going to buy any of these figures? Or are you more interested in what Kid Robot has to offer? And by the way, there are other companies as well that have done some South Park collectibles. And like I said, most of the time, the other figures I've seen, I think they're cool. I just don't really worry about collecting them so much. But I was really happy to get Awesemo into my collection. And I do want to get some of these Kid Robot blind boxes. It's just, can only spend so much money, only got so much to spend, so it's a little at a time. But eventually I do want to go back and get some of those because I think Kid Robot has done a good job with them. But again, I really want to hear your opinions, especially if you're a diehard South Park fan. As a matter of fact, just as a personal favor to me, let me know what are your favorite South Park episodes. We could definitely talk about that in the comments. But again, thank you all for watching. I look forward to reading your comments, and you all take care. Till next time.